Dear viewers, today we will delve deeper into the topic. I have prepared challenging exercises that will provoke self-reflection and stimulate your thoughts. Get ready to embark on a meaningful journey of introspection. Exercise 1. Make a comprehensive list of various aspects of your life where you experience constraints and limitations, where you feel insufficient and inadequate, and where you believe you are not receiving what you truly deserve. Essentially, jot down all the areas where you feel restricted, lacking, and deprived of what you are entitled to. Then close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Reach into your heart and allow yourself to be completely honest with yourself. With your eyes still closed, pose the following questions to yourself. Note down everything that surfaces in your mind in your notebook. Who is to be held accountable for the state of my living conditions? Whom do I ponder upon when I fail to achieve my utmost potential? What thoughts, attachments, or self-destructive behaviors do I employ to rationalize myself when I am wronged? In order to find my own truth, what do I acquire by placing blame on others? What do I achieve by refusing to acknowledge and neglecting any responsibility? Please create a new list on a separate page where you can document the various reasons or justifications you use for not achieving or pursuing your dreams. What excuses are preventing you from pursuing your dreams? After you're done, read your answers aloud. How long have these excuses hindered your progress? What purpose do they serve for you? If you let go of these excuses, what emotions and experiences could you potentially have that are currently out of reach? These inquiries hold immense significance. Deep thought should be, today I choose to take full responsibility for my reality, and that makes me happy. Indeed, countless individuals spent vast sums of money in the pursuit of self-peace, yet many not found it. A few have managed to achieve a sense of well-being, purging their minds, their living spaces, and their interpersonal connections. However, most of us still trying to find a peace with ourselves. By disregarding our suffering, we perpetuate the wounds we still bear and carry the burdens of the past at all times. It becomes impossible to truly appreciate our accomplishments and present circumstances when our past is constantly hovering, relentlessly reminding us of our failures and traumatic experiences. In order to begin the process of finding peace with our stories, it is imperative that we make a commitment to relinquish any behaviors we engage in to numb our pain. If we want to heal, we must learn to release what we commonly refer to as the comforting states. Engaging in self-criticism frequently results in feelings of inadequacy and neglect. Believing that we are fundamentally flawed can turn life into an intolerable nightmare. It is also extremely challenging to constantly fail to meet our own expectations. This relentless cycle of despair, dissatisfaction, and ceaseless emotional pain slowly erodes our spirit and hinders us from realizing our true potential. Arguably, nothing is more harmful to the core of our humanity than the conviction that we are insufficient, defective, and beyond correction. This kind of feeling really demotivates the individual. In order to find inner peace with our personal narratives, we must first acknowledge, comprehend, and embrace every difficult aspect of our past that has caused us anguish. This process remains constant, whether it involves healing from a painful encounter, challenging an ingrained negative belief, or resolving internal conflicts. Regardless of the source of our distress, such as depression, sickness, discontentment, feelings of unworthiness, arrogance, or an inadequacy, the steps towards healing and reconciliation remain consistent. There is no distinction in the process of letting go, whether it pertains to releasing resentment towards a bitter parent or relinquishing the trauma inflicted by a family member. Consequently, The method for overcoming disappointing employment terminations is no different from processing the anger involved in heartbreak caused by someone dear to us. One procedure may be more painful, while another may leave deeper scars. But the healing process is always the same. When we embrace our stories with all their contributions, we see very clearly the life that lies before us. This life is a gift from our infinite self, and once we have processed all our failures and traumas, these experiences will take us deeper into ourselves and bring us back to our essence. The issues that are just below the surface of my consciousness are like lumps in our dough. It is because of our unhealed wounds that we cannot overcome the limits we set for ourselves. These wounds are also like the glue that holds our stories together. These lumps seem to be independent of each other, but in fact they are connected to deeper issues. Once a young girl posed a question to an elderly wise woman. How does one become a butterfly? The old woman, with a broad smile and a wink, replied, You must want to fly so much that you are willing to give up being a caterpillar. Breaking free from the confines of our own narratives can often be a painful and time-consuming process. However, once we shed these layers, we experience the liberation of our soul, reveling in emotional and spiritual freedom. It is our unresolved conflicts and struggles that contribute to the guilt weighing us down. A mind burdened with guilt actively seeks out punishment. Feelings of guilt. It draws people or events into your life that make you feel that way, as if to confirm your guilty thoughts about yourself that you cannot conclude or resolve. This cycle emerges when we disregard our inner voice, make choices that go against our core values, fail to meet the expectations of our loved ones, or engage in what we perceive as selfish behaviors. Yes, believing that we have done something wrong and bad is the source of our guilt. We expect and fear the punishment we really deserve. When we do not resolve our past issues, we unknowingly inflict punishment upon ourselves, denying ourselves love, success, and abundance. This pattern continues until we address the loose ends from our past. In Secret of the Shadow, Debbie Ford discusses the 12-step program in Western culture. She explains that through this program she learned to apologize and make amends to those she had harmed. This is similar to the practice in our religion of seeking forgiveness from those we have slandered or wronged, acknowledging that even a martyr is not exempt from forgiveness and must settle his debts. Debbie Ford has opened up about a personal aspect of her life. I was compelled to rectify my past mistakes, confront with the issues that had compromised my sense of integrity. Throughout the years, I have caused anger, disappointment, and pain to numerous individuals, as well as wronged both nature and unknown people within various institutions. How could I possibly make amends to those I have harmed? At first, I was overwhelmed by this thought. How could I possibly bring myself to do such a thing? Just the mere idea of approaching someone and admitting that I had deceived them and taken something from them filled me with shame and made my body tremble. It was bizarre, considering that I rarely experienced guilt and was indifferent to the opinions of others. However, faced with the task of rectifying my past mistakes, I was engulfed by a combination of fear and shame. The list of my victims appeared to be extensive, but I knew that I could never truly feel good about myself unless I made amends for what I had done wrong. Confronting my former colleagues and family friends was the most challenging part. But gradually and individually, I managed to apologize, settle my debts, and take accountability for my past actions. As I made each reparation, I felt a sense of liberation from the shackles that tied me to the turmoil of my previous life. With every step, my self-assurance grew, and I embraced a newfound sense of contentment within myself. When our lives lack integrity, the changes we make are founded on falsehoods, creating barriers between ourselves and others. Building our lives on a foundation of honesty ensures harmony and connection with those around us. When we disregard the internal principles that govern various aspects of our lives, we sever the connection between ourselves and our potential. thereby diminishing our capacity to accomplish our desires. Violating our internal principles is akin to draining our vital energy. Neglecting the basic laws that Allah Almighty has established in the universe always comes back to harm the person himself. I ask people who have participated in my therapy so far, who have committed many harms in the excitement of youth, who have done everything their ego wanted. As far as I can see, you have done everything your ego wanted to be happy. Friendship with the opposite sex, nightlife, drinking, gambling, drugs, entertainment, eating and drinking, traveling and having fun, sexuality, money, possessions, property, etc. So why are you unhappy now? He says, I don't know. I explain it like this. We have a physical body, which is our material side, and a spiritual body, which is our spiritual side. We feed the physical body with carbohydrates, proteins, fats, mineral salts, vitamins, and minerals. When we don't eat carefully and properly, our body starts to malfunction. But in the same way, our soul also needs nourishment. Our soul is spiritual. Its food is also spiritual. Prayer, the Holy Quran, dhikr is the only solution for the tranquility of our souls. The energy produced by the verses and dhikrs we recite every moment envelops our soul and first cleanses us from the negatives and loads us with the positive energy we need. When we put water in a gasoline-powered car, it will not start. The needs of each being must be met according to its nature. Animals eat, drink, defecate, and have a sexual life. Humans also eat, drink water, defecate, and have a sex life. The main difference is in the spiritual aspect of human beings and their capacity to develop their personality. As Mehmet Akif expresses, faith is that jewel that is divine, how great it is. The heart without faith is a burden on the bosom. By rising in the degrees of faith, man can succeed in having good morals and developing a strong personality structure and nourishing his soul. Otherwise, he may descend to levels lower than animals. Because animals and plants remember Allah in accordance with their purpose of creation, in accordance with the verse, there is nothing that does not remember Allah. However, the human being who has been sent a mind, a will, a book, and a prophet should spend every second of his time knowing and remembering his Lord. If only he could, right? The verse states that both humankind and the jinn have been created to know and serve me and worship me. In her book, The Secret of the Shadow, Debbie Ford presents examples from individuals who have participated in her seminars, focusing on overcoming past challenges and resolving issues that disrupt personal integrity. Jordan, a real estate agent, is now 35 years old and had a rough upbringing on the streets. In his youth, his sharp mind taught him how to survive. Despite achieving financial success, Jordan was haunted by the damage he had done to those around him in his youth. For the past 15 years, he has been trying to make peace with his past, but without success. He tried to forgive himself by showing great generosity to his family and friends. Jordan possessed the ability to choose his words carefully and knew exactly when to say them. He even incorporated rituals into his routine, hoping they would alleviate his guilt. However, he still felt burdened when he found himself alone at night. The message that overshadowed all of his accomplishments was that I wasn't deserving of everything all at once. I proposed to Jordan that we examine together the things from his past that still caused him distress, as stated by Debbie Ford. I clarified to him that although our minds may forget wrongdoings, our hearts will always remember them. Although he desired to be free from guilt, Jordan opposed the notion that his past mistakes had any impact on his present. Even though he acknowledged that he had been arrogant and negligent in the past, he believed himself to be a good person now. I explained that until we right our wrongs, we will continue to hurt ourselves and repeatedly attract experiences into our lives that make us feel bad about ourselves. Our inner wisdom asks us to balance what we have broken. I told Jordan that he would not find peace until he was able to look into the eyes of all the people he had harmed. As long as he couldn't do that, he would continue to feel somewhere inside that he was not a good person, not worthy of all love and forgiveness, naturally, and he would never be free of his personal drama. With great courage, Jordan decided to clear the unhealed events of his past. He told her to close her eyes and reveal an event that was still unhealed. She recalled a time when she was 18 years old and working as a waitress in a restaurant in San Francisco. She had worked there on and off for 6 years. He would take time off when school was in session and come back to work when he ran out of money. The owner of the restaurant, an older man, Ted. He was sympathetic to Jordan, allowing him to come and go as he pleased. Jordan admitted that he and other employees stole money from the restaurant by not depositing some customers' checks. Sometimes he also took food and drinks. Jordan, who was barely scraping by at the time, came up with ideas to explain his actions. Ted was a good dentist who lived in a good part of town. Good thing he had another restaurant. He wouldn't even notice the money being stolen. He comforted himself with the thought that all the other employees were doing the same thing. But now Jordan could look at it and see that he had treated someone who had always been so nice to him, who had always been so open with him, so badly, and that it had made him feel even worse than he thought. I asked Jordan how he thought he could make it up to himself. He told me that he thought the owner of the restaurant was already dead, and he didn't know what to do to make it right. But when he called one of the former managers of the restaurant, he found out that Ted was still alive and living on the outskirts of town. Jordan summoned all his courage, picked up the phone, and dialed Ted's number. Ted, now in his 80s, was so happy to hear Jordan's voice. He had always loved her very much, and she held a special place in his heart.
After a few minutes of small talk, Jordan told him that he had stolen about $3,000 during the time he had worked for him, and that he wanted to make it up to her now. In one of the most intense emotional moments of her life, Jordan tearfully told him with all the openness of her heart that she wanted to send him a check right away. Hearing Jordan's confession, Ted started crying on the phone.
He realized that all of his restaurants. Jordan was shocked to learn that he had also lost his big house. Ted told him of his great hardship and how he had tried to get a loan to pay off his debts, but had been turned down because he was bankrupt. He explained to Jordan that 15 years ago, $3,000 would have been insignificant to him, but today it is sufficient to prevent his house from being repossessed. As Jordan signed the check, he felt it was the best thing he had ever spent. He felt cleansed inside, and a great weight lifted off his shoulders, as if he had finally returned someone else's trust. For the first time in his life, he looked in the mirror and felt good about himself. He knew that the scales inside him were finally balanced. He had reached a higher level of self-worth and self-respect, as we can see from the examples. As we understand from the examples, it is a very important thing for people to clean all the negatives inside, to finish, to make peace, to face themselves. After that comes their happiness. Unfortunately, we cannot be happy by suppressing ourselves, trying to look different, hiding our negatives, looking different from who we are. Fortunately, we are, and we should aspire to express ourselves more honestly and clearly, and be open. I hope that every passing day will be a good and beautiful day for you. I wish you days when you are reunited with yourself, when you are reunited with your essence, when you are at peace with yourself, and when you are happy with yourself. I say take care of yourself. I wish you a good day.